The way I got involved with using the Bali life was I became very ill through my poor eating habits. My colon perforated back in 1991, and I developed peritonitis. I wound up being taken to a hospital in an ambulance, and because of that, they had to do what they call an exploratory. I had to be cut down the middle. And the doctor told me that that's about the only thing they could do at this time, because it had gone so far that there's a possibility I would probably die in about 8 hours. So what they did was I was rushed into the emergency room. I signed a release that I agreed that whatever they did, and if my death resulted from that, that's all they could do to possibly save me. And what developed from that was when they did the exploratory, I wound up wearing what they call a colostomy bag for about 6 months. While I was in the hospital, my niece flew in from Texas to visit me, and she brought me in a bottle of Bali Life, and she told me, "Uncle Joe, I'd like you to try this product, and it may help, you with your healing and so forth." I thought it was ridiculous when she had brought it in. I said, "Here I am on the brink of death, and you're bringing me some bottle of green stuff." However, because I loved my niece very much, I said I would do that. When I was released from the hospital, I started using the Bali Life, and somehow my body did heal very rapidly, because I went periodically back for checks to the doctor, and he said, "Wow," he said, "we thought there would be a year before we could do this reversal for your colon." He said, "But it looks like you're healing very nicely." So they did it in about 4 months. And when I got out of that hospital, I started to use this Bali Life on a consistent basis. I grew stronger, and I healed very rapidly. But like everything else in life, bad habits are very hard to break. I went back to my bad eating habits, and I stopped using the Bali, and my colon just ruptured again, and this time I was just bleeding profusely, and when I was rushed to the hospital, I was in a pressure suit to try to contain that bleeding which was going on internally, and I stayed in that pressure suit for about, say, 8 to 10 hours. Then the doctor came in and said, "Joe, we're going to try to take this pressure suit off to see if your blood is coagulated enough so that healing could start." They did take the pressure suit off. I was feeling good, but I had to move my bowels, and I called a nurse, and she came in, and she gave me one of those pans to go to move my bowels, and then she said, "Joe, I have to leave you for a moment." What happened, she went out, and I started to bleed again from my rectum. It was just pouring blood. I was ringing the buzzer, and she just got involved with something and didn't pay attention to the buzzer, and my vital signs went off the screen, and when she did come in, she called the doctor. They rushed in, and they were bringing me blood from all over. They had on my legs, my veins, and banging on my heart with that big thing. And it's a funny thing when you're in that situation and you die for a small span of time. The experience is that you actually are up in a corner watching yourself with this procedure going on, and you get a feeling that said, and it was so peaceful and beautiful, I said, "Wow, this is a magnificent place to be. There's nothing really to fear." I said, "This is," I don't know why I was ever afraid of dying, but the feeling wasn't communication of words. It was, "Do you want to stay, or do you want to go?" I really wanted to stay, but I had things to attend to in my family, so I said, "I want to go back." And as I said that, I saw myself, and the vital signs come back. "Oh, he's coming back." They were saying, running around, "Hey, he's coming back." Oh, anyway, the situation was that the next few days after this procedure took place, I was laying in bed, and I had the nurses from the hospital come in, and they were saying, "Joseph, do you mind if we touch you?" You know, and first in my mind I thought they were crazy. I said, "Want to touch me?" You know, I guess it was for some type of thing, good luck or whatever. But when I did leave the hospital at that time, the doctor who attended to me, he put his arm around me and he said, "Joe, just want to tell you, we had nothing to do with your leaving this hospital today. It's all God." You know? So when I walked out of there, I said, "Wow, this is amazing." I said, "Lord, what's your purpose for me in life?" And my purpose is to speak to people like you, like I'm doing today, to tell you that you don't have to go through the agony and pain I went through. Just follow a regime, you know, of good nutrition and use products from the AIM company, the Barley Life especially, and we've come out with a lot of other powerful products that will help you with your health. If you use them and you do your exercise, which I do now as best I can. Sometimes I go back to my old bad habits, but I can feel myself just, coming apart at the seams. So you have to exercise, take your nutrition, and eat good foods. Don't get in the habits I had, which were all Frankfurters pizza and drinking beer and all that. These things, smoking and cigars and being a macho man will never help you have a wonderful life. This body was given to you as a gift. It's a temple. Take care of it. That's what God wants you to do. And then you'll find your purpose in life. Thank you very much. I wanted to be an entertainer, a singer when I was younger. And that field is extremely difficult, and you're always with the wrong crowds, a lot of, narcotics, drinking, and wildness. And, I got caught up in a lot of that stuff, and, not sleeping and staying up and thinking that you could always take a stimulant of some kind to go in from one day to the next without rest. And I've collapsed a lot of times due to the fact that I push myself from one day to the next with no sleep and, drinking coffee and everything else that goes with it. And, when they opened me up inside, the guy said, "You got the inside of a 90-year-old, and I was in my 50s then, So I learned a lot. I learned a lot through living a wild life, and it doesn't give you the joy, of taking care of yourself. When you get in and learn a little bit about nutrition and you can pass it on to your family and your friends and talk to them about these wonderful products we have from AIM, they'll give you a whole different life, a whole different lifestyle. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born there. I've lived my whole life there. I'm 72 years old. I've only left Brooklyn, for the service and a few other things, but most of my life has been spent there. And like everyone else, as far as I'm concerned, that's like, for me, being in heaven, living in it. Every time I left, I couldn't wait to get back to Brooklyn. People there are, you hear so many bad things about New York and all that. Naturally, in every country and in every place you visit, you have bad sections and you have bad people, then you have good sections. We have, I would say, there's 95% of the people are magnificent in New York. They got hearts that are so incredible as far as being charitable and kind. And when I was sick, I had 350 people come to visit me, bring me money. I couldn't work when I was going through this, and people from different churches came, brought food and support, and were there all the time. I said, I never experienced that elsewhere, but I'll tell you, Brooklyn is a fantastic place.
Well, Joseph and I are going to be married this September, 3 years. We met in a choir in our church. So I guess God had a reason for the two of us to be together. I was never married before, and I didn't think I really want to get married. But I'm not going to get into all that. What I really want to talk about is also some things about AIM, because I was not into AIM or health nutrition to the degree that Joseph is, and I didn't know anything about the AIM companies. But being married to my husband, well, he takes so many of these products, and it obviously works because he's extremely healthy looking, and is healthy with all the medical things that are really wrong with him. Yeah. He's in phenomenal shape, and he's trying to pass that on to me. And as I encountered different health issues myself, Joseph would tell me about, well, take this and take that. Like, let's take Proancinol 2000. I worked at the courthouse in Manhattan, and everyone in my job was getting the flu. And I come home one day and I said, my throat is killing me. And Joe would say, well, take Proancinol. I'm not one to want to take pills or anything. So he says, it's a small little pill. He says, and you'll feel better. So I says, you know what? He says, you could either take it or you could just suffer. So I said to myself, okay, he's tough on me. So I took one. Believe it or not, I only took one. And it was, the throat when I woke up the next day was fine. And I said, one pill. I says, you know what? Just to play it safe, I took one that day and one the following day. I stopped at that point. I did not get the flu. My throat was fine. Everyone else on the job was out for at least 2 solid weeks with the flu. So Proancinol is definitely in my cabinet for foods to take, and to keep myself nutritionally healthy. The second thing that Joe introduced me to, and there again, I ate something, and I don't know if everyone must have experienced a big bloating feeling. But so bad this was, I could not even bend slightly like this without pain. And I said, oh, Joe, I says, I'm dying. So he says, well, take Prepzymes. Now, I didn't even know what that was. It came in a capsule form. And he says, you'll feel better instantly. I says, okay. I make it to the kitchen. I take one Prepzyme. I walk from the kitchen to the living room where he was sitting, and we don't have a big house. And I said, Joe. So he says, what? I says, it's gone. He says, what's gone? I says, that pain. He said, I told you, work fast. And he goes back to reading. And I said, but Joe, I only took it a second ago, and I walked from the kitchen to here, and it's gone. He says, it's that good. It works that good. So I says, I carry it with me all the time. You never know. And as a matter of fact, one time I was eating with my girlfriends, and she says, I'm going to get sick with this. I know I'm indigestion. I said, well, take a Prepzyme. 2 of them, both of them have this eating problem. They both took it. They ate. It was Chinese food. And they ate it, and they told me the next day, we didn't get sick at all. What was the name of that stuff? And I started to tell them about Prepzymes, so that they could also be healthier and eat maybe not crazy food, but food without having serious problems. And I'd rather take a Prepzyme than take some kind of a purple pill, for indigestion and acid reflux. So I'd rather take something natural. And as I keep, coming up with my health issues, not as severe as Joe's, thank God, but he keeps telling me about different products, and and I'm into the barley, and at one point I was doing the whole garden trio, which was the barley, the beets, and just carrots, and Joe does that all the time. He's very religious about all his products, and it sounds, like, oh yeah, right, you take all, yeah, he does, he takes everything, and that's why he stands here today, and as healthy as he is today, and God bless you, and knock on wood, and hopefully I will stay. I got to be honest with you, we're like 11 years apart in age. I just turned 60 in May, and I could not keep up with my husband. That's what really also started me with taking the barley and some of the other stuff, because I said to myself, well, he's walking, he's like ahead of me. He says, Joe, wait for me, I'm out of breath, and he says, Mary, you got to get yourself in shape. Better start taking some of that barley. And you know what? It's amazing, but it does make a difference in your life. And I didn't think I had health issues until I couldn't keep up with my husband, who's 11 years older than me. So I guess there's something to be said. And if you're smart, you'll at least check it out for yourselves.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We have a rebounder down the basement in order track, some weights.
And I have a treadmill and also an exercise bike. And we have an inversion table, which when we first bought it, I always was interested in, and it looked interesting, and Joe was always interested, and we said, well, let's just buy one. So, yeah, you know, I said, let's go nice and easy. My husband hangs upside down right away. I said,
No, it's
and he's
beautiful.
doing sit-ups upside down. And this is a man who had health issues, you know, and I said to myself, every one upside down is equivalent to 10 sit-ups on the floor. And he's doing it straight upside down, and he's coming up. I says, are you okay? Are you okay? I wanted to make sure he was, no, I'm fine, you know. And he got back up. And then I tried it, but not hanging upside down, yeah, because I'm a little nervous about being, you know, upside down totally. But so I eased myself into, you know, this type, this angle. And I feel very comfortable there, and that's where I stay. Yeah. And then I do my sit-ups from there, you know. And that's basically, you know, but we try.
First heart attack, an angiogram, an angioplasty. That lasted 6 months, and I went back in the hospital for an angiogram and angioplasty. That lasted 6 months. Then they put a stent in there. That lasted 6 months. Then I had a cauterization where they did the roto-rooter. I went back in the last time, it was the 5th time, and that was in '96, around there I started to, maybe later, maybe it was in the 202, I don't remember the exact years, but AIM came out with a product called CellSpark 360, and I got a call and they said, would you try this product? We understand you're having problems with your heart. And I said, sure. And they said, would you give us testimony on it? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I started to take CellSpark 360. Let me knock on wood too. I've had no problem with my heart since then.
Yeah, that's over 10 years now.
That is phenomenal. AIM's products, if you're not using them, get on them. They're just magnificent. People ask me, Joe, how did you get better? There's a whole example on that. People in the church, when I got back on my feet, they said, what were you doing? I said, well, I was using these products, and my niece brought me. Well, let us try that. I said, yeah, but you can buy it, wholesale. And a couple of people came in, and the biggest thing that happened in the church was we had a young executive. He had twin boys, and the nun in our parish said that, Joe, this fellow became very sick with a similar problem to you. His colon is distended and all this, and they put a colostomy bag on him, and he's having psychological problems. He can't get his life back. He said he just can't get it together. He's so depressed. Would you go and see him? So I did. I went to visit this man, and his name was Joe. I won't give you his last name, but his name was Joe also. And I sat down. He was a great guy. We put shows on in the church, and he made up all the designs. He was into graphics and what have you. He's really a very deeply religious guy and very intelligent. And I said, he said, Joe, how did you cope with this thing? I said, well, I had a lot of help. I had friends, a lot of people come to visit me, and I said, you should do the same thing. I said, but you should also use the product that I used, that my niece brought me, Bali Knife. So he said, well, I'll have to speak to my doctor about doing that because he got me on medication. I said, well, doctors are very strange. When you start talking about natural products, they believe that, pharmaceuticals are the only way to go. And lo and behold, the doctor told him not to use it. He said it would be counter to what we're doing and all of this. You shouldn't do that. And I told him, what happens in your body when you have a problem like what you call them, the way you and I have, is that your body becomes very acidic, and you need alkalinity in your body to keep it healthy. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, I didn't know either. That's what I've learned through reading the data. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. And anyway, he went back about a month and a half. They were going to reverse his colon, take the bag off. Colostomy, we're going to take off and reverse it. And he calls me. He says, Joe, I'm going in today. It's Friday. It was a Friday. And he said, do you think I'm going to be fine? I think I'm going to make it. I said, it's up to God, not up to me. I said, if you're asking me if you're going to make it, I have no way of telling you that. He said, but do you think it might be all right? I said, I'll pray for you. That's the best I can do. I said, but I can't tell you you're going to be fine. But I knew in the back of my heart and in my soul there was going to be a problem with him. Anyway, when it Friday, he died the next day. You know, and his wife said, you know, why did that have to happen? You know, how come you're well and he had to pass? He's so young. I said, again, I don't know the answers to those things, you know. But it's amazing. When God wants you to heal, he'll heal you. But he gives you a break and he tells you, learn from this, you know. But, you know, I got a hard habit. I don't learn easy. And I go right back to my old habits. And it's always too expensive to stay healthy. I'd rather be sick, right? I got to be a mental case. Sometimes I think I am, you know. You know, I know myself, I'm lazy. I got bad habits. Everything is too hard. You know, that's too hard. I don't want to do that. Everything is easy. You know, have a frankfurter and put a little mustard on, a little relish. You know, it tastes good. You know, who wants to eat a salad? What, are you out of your mind? You know, it's better to eat foods like pasta, pile on all that stuff, big loaf of bread, heating up with all the sauce, or grease. Yeah, I'm diabetic and.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Runs in
That's
the
really complicated.
Oh, forget it. That's my mother had bad heart, high blood pressure. My father, when he was very young, he had diabetes, and both of them together, you know, they died at 68. It's an amazing thing. I'm 72. My whole family is gone. I'm, you know, the youngest of the family, but they all died because they didn't use products like Barley Life. They thought it was a joke. The joke's on them.
But for the diabetes, it's also the glucochrome.
The glucochrome is fabulous. That balances out my sugar.
Yeah.
You know, just along with the barley. I use Reassure too, you know, for prostrate. I take the Peak Endurance. You know, when I work out, I use that. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
phenomenal.
because of his diabetes, circulation is not good.
Yeah.
Once he started taking the diabetes, he says, wow, he says,
Yeah,
my feet actually feel good.
Yeah, I got a little
You know,
neuropathy in the feet.
Because of
and-
neuropathy with diabetes, you know, and he says, wow, my feet really feel good. I says, really, Joe? I says, they
Yeah,
don't even look swollen or anything.
Yeah, it's-
and
it's-
recovery from working out, you know?
Quicker.
It's like, I'm achy. He's not achy anymore when he works
Yeah.
out. And he works out with weights and everything, you know. So.
That's
And
the only way.
Cell spark.
Oh, Cell Spark
Cell
for the
Spark,
heart.
oh, fabulous product, fabulous.
Yeah. And
You
then
know-
the wintertime, you also take the Proental
Yeah,
also.
I haven't, the flu,
you know.
I haven't been sick with that, you know. You know, most people that we associate with when they get flus and everything, I'll come down with a touch of it. Maybe it'll affect me for about a few hours, 8, 10 hours. But these other people,
But
like
he
Mary
takes the
said,
product
Two
as
weeks.
they're
as
in the
soon as it-
hospital.
as soon as you
They
start to
taken
feel
to the hospital, and
something,
they
right.
spend 4 days in the hospital.
Yeah. As soon as you start to feel something, you take it.
Yes,
It's like all the different. We won't go through a winter without having
Never.
it in our cabinet. You know, so.
yeah. We eat vegetables and whatever. We cut everything up, and we jazz it up a lot with all different things:
Yeah.
peppers and cucumbers and radishes and
Yeah, and
olives.
some
and well.
olives and.
Yeah.
You know, you could. I mean, salads can be very, very exciting. It's just what you put into it.
Yeah, they are
you know.
very exciting.
If you
too.
just
It's
throw
nice
in a
thing.
tomato
Yeah,
and
we-
salad, it's boring. But if you throw in all these other healthy vegetables, which are loaded with
Mm-hmm.
vitamins and minerals, the best thing is to get your nutrients from healthy foods.
Yeah.
Barley Life is a plant food, and that's why it's so healthy for you. You can't force anyone to do it,
No.
unfortunately. There always are family members that look at you like, yeah, take all that stuff, you know. But all you can do is just keep telling them about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully that
Being
one
an
day they'll
example.
wake up and they'll say, you know what, maybe I will try that.
Mm.
You know, and then you could watch the difference in their lives,
Mm.
how much it's
With
made.
the help of God. yeah.
Hopefully people will just, you know, listen to this and try to at least make right choices,
Yeah.
because there's so much out there, and the ink companies in particular, you know, they're very meticulous about giving a product. They test it a lot scientifically. They want it to be the best that it can be,
And it is.
because otherwise they're not going to have a company. And they've been around for over 25 years now. So it's not a rinky-dink outfit here today, gone tomorrow. you know, they stand by, their standards are high.
Yeah.
And that's probably why we're sitting here today, telling you everything that we know.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen to that. Thank you.
Amen to that.